Kim, what are you doing? You're on the wrong side of the road.
No, Sam, we're in the UK. This is the right side of the road.
No, this is definitely the wrong side of the road.
This is definitely the right side of the road, Sam. You'll learn one day.
Hey guys, I'm Sam at Scrappy Industries, and this is
Calamity Kim.
And we are on a tour of UK heavy haul on this episode. So stick around and let's check out some more details of this sweet operation. So if you're like me and you grew up here in America thinking that American trucks were as big as bad as it gets, well, I'm here to tell you that you're wrong. Last year I met my friend Calamity Kim, who is a heavy haul truck driver in the UK. If you follow Kim's channel on YouTube, you can see a lot of the work she gets into, and you'll learn a lot of the differences of what they do in the UK and what we do here in America. And what I'm hoping to do in this video is kind of shed some light on these differences and maybe limit our ignorance here in America to thinking we do things better, because a lot of things I don't think we do. For starters, their axle weights are allowed quite a bit heavier than ours. They have 33,000 pound per axle limit, where we're at 23,000 pound here in Pennsylvania for the most part. Depends on groups and things like that. In Ohio, you can only have 20,000 pounds on an axle. We have a lot of followers from the UK, Australia, other parts of the world. They say, why do you use low boys for the kind of loads you guys haul and you don't use a step frame with ramps on the back? And the biggest reason for that is our height restrictions here in America. We can only be 13'6", where in the UK, they have much higher height limits. They technically don't have a height limit, which I find wild, but their bridges are marked, I think, above 15 feet. We'll get into this with Kim later, but those are just some of the minor differences between here and there. So we have to have very long trucks and trailers to carry the same amount of weight that they do on their short, nimble trucks and trailers. Kim's truck, which is a total of 9 axles, which is a 3-axle tractor, 2-axle interdolly, and a 4-axle trailer, can haul about 84 metric tons on the deck. So that's 92, 93 US imperial tons. For us to carry that much weight here in Pennsylvania, we need a 13-axle setup that's about 135 feet long. Kim's truck and trailer is about 77 feet long with the bed all the way slid in. It's an extendable bed. So those are just some of the comparisons there of the length of the whole unit. And of course, on her truck and trailer, everything steers except for the drive axles. So it makes it extremely easy to get around tight England streets. So while we're loaded, Kim's considered a Category 3 truck in the UK. And at Category 3, she can only travel 45 mile per hour top. So it's a little bit slow going, but we're getting there. In the States, with a 13-axle setup, carrying the same amount of weight, we would be able to run 70 miles an hour in Pennsylvania. So that's, another just kind of key consideration here that I find interesting. So let's go over to the UK and check out what they have going on. Big cold start, Kim?
Yeah, big cold start. We'll just see if the oil left on.
You don't even have to check your dipstick, Jimmy?
No, it's on the screen. All of the oil and all of the folds.
As long as we got oil. Kim's really got her cleaned up nice for us. Well, Big John, we made it.
Took a little bit.
All the way to the UK. And we found one Calamity Kim who's actually working. Oh, or not. And her sweet Scania. And we're gonna go do some heavy hauling and learn about UK heavy hauling today. And I'm excited. It's so nice and clean. It's not even all greasy now.
I know, I cleaned it right up.
Just for us.
Yeah, literally.
So how heavy is this crane you got on?
It's about, I think between 60 and 65 tons, something like that.
Check out the steering on that interdolly. It's crazy how little room here you need for a trailer. So this portion's called the interdolly, and the neck is kind of like a normal lowboy neck. It'll come off of there, and the neck still hooks onto the trailer like a regular lowboy. So this steers, of course, because of the way that it is. Those are the steering cylinders. So there's a set on the top and a set on the bottom. And one set is for the dolly, and one set is for the back of the trailer. So as the trailer turns, that wedge is driven into the back of the fifth wheel, and you can see it's got big springs, so it's actually held tightly into the fifth wheel. So that's staying stationary with the truck, and the trailer turns around it. That moves those cylinders in and out, and that works all your steering automatically. Pretty cool system.
So this is what we'd call a pendle here. So you've got each one of these is an individual leg, and essentially they're on a bit of a slew ring. So they turn here. The center point is about there, but it's just a big bearing there, and it turns on that. And then it's got basically like individual suspension then for each side of the trailer. So I'm just at the back here because it's easiest to show you, but this is the steering ram here on one side, and there's another one on the other side, and they're connected to the front via obviously the hydraulic lines. So when the neck turns, it pushes the rams on the neck, which then move the wheel to the back here and turn these rams, which then subsequently turn the pendle on this little sort of slew ring here. So it twists like that, and then that's how you've got the steering. I've never actually seen the bearing, so I don't quite know what the bearing looks like in conjunction to like a excavator's.
Apparently they don't go bad too often then.
Hopefully not. Yeah. Because it'd be an expensive day if they did, because there's a lot of them.
So all the weight of the trailer then is going into this portion.
Yeah. So
and then you have like this strut coming down to carry the weight. The way I view it, like the flex of that.
Yeah, so there's a lot, and then they're all bolted. So the slew.
Oh, that's where it's actually attached. Okay, yeah.
And then there's a whole ring of bolts all the way around there underneath.
I'm impressed, like how massive, like the steel is. Like how heavy is just the deck insert?
I don't know what the deck is, but I know what like the trailer's about 32 ton.
32 ton.
Yeah, just the trailer.
That's the difference.
Yeah, so it's quite substantial. But then you can put a lot more than 32 ton on it. So
are you carrying 100 or 150 load?
100. My truck can do 150 fully loaded. So like everything all up 150.
So gross 150. So you can haul 100.
I can haul, yeah, just about 100.
Okay.
Well, maybe not quite. If we had another axle on one of our trailers, I could get away with probably 100. But
okay.
It gets a bit too heavy on the unit if I'm trying to do something like that. So I'm kind of a bit limited on the 3-axle unit, so we have to be a bit careful with it.
Okay.
So you don't want to run your axle weights too high. Like you could, what we have, we could run it at 100, but you'll never get it, like the weight would never be dispersed well enough to work at 100.
So up front here for power, Kim's got the Scania V8 package. I think it's like 780 horsepower or something. Planetary hub reduction on the drives. And then some hellacious steel springs here on the truck. I think that's almost a rubber block consideration suspension. What are we doing, Kim?
So right now we're just filling up my grease pot, which you might be able to see earlier, you can see there. This greases the whole trailer, is non-auto lube system, and it's air operated by every time I touch the brake, and it then basically sends a little pump of grease around the whole trailer every single time.
I saw like even the slack adjusters and everything in there are auto lube.
You've got here's like the multi-block, the valve block for the grease thing. Like I think there's one of them for every pendle. So,
oh wow.
Yeah, one single block like that, and then there's, as you run down the trailer, there'll be a couple of blocks down the length of the trailer for all the turntables and everything as well. Then. So there's quite a lot of grease points.
If you had to manually grease this trailer, I feel like that'd be like
you'd be here for 3 days.
It'd be an all-day affair. Yeah.
Because my grease, our modular trailer is on like all grease nipples, and it took me about a solid day to grease it. It was not fun at all. I was so sick of it. Many batteries in a solid day.
So like this hydraulic line is what's coming down to that block. That's pretty cool. So then you can still change out a whole pendle, say you had to, without even changing out every grease fitting. So these ones must be going back up to the turntable.
Yeah, so there's some there, but then there's steering arms.
You get to claim the whole roundabout.
Basically, roads in the UK are like more designed for cars, so you just have to, which is why we've got like these bigger trailers, so you kind of have to just do whatever you need to do to get around. And being the bigger vehicle on the road, they should really be giving you priority.
It still doesn't take much room.
No, it doesn't take much room.
For as big as we are. It's so quiet in here.
It's quiet. We've got double glazing as well, so that's
yeah.
a double glazed window right there. This is premium.
This is premium.
The thing is, it's not quiet. Like if you was outside listening to this, it's really loud.
Oh yeah.
Inside it's like some of the videos when I post them, I have to like to quieten it down a bit because it seems like it's too loud for videos. It hurts my ears listening to.
Is Big John still back there?
Yeah.
I don't see him. Kim doesn't allow you boots in her truck either. It's too clean for that.
Yeah, it keeps it clean if you don't wear boots in here.
Well, that's true. It is very nice and clean in here.
It's very slightly stitched to the right.
Are you adjusting the trailer, I guess, not the dolly?
No, the trailer. Sometimes it's quite difficult to get it exactly right sometimes, and if the camera of the road is bad, it will sort of drag the trailer over a little bit.
Oh yeah. Does it ever like leak over time? Those hydraulics, you got to help it out.
Those multi-blocks, I always keep loads of those couplings because when they do go, you got two suspension ones and 4 steering ones. So if one of those steering one goes, it ends up wandering left or right. Not that badly, but it will just lose a bit of pressure whilst you're driving, and it won't work as well then. It's sort of part of the problem.
We made it to our unload point here at the crane yard.
So I'll put these chains on now while it's easily accessible.
Okay. Did you get the other side already?
Yeah.
Okay. So because we're going to be running empty next, Kim's working on starting to pin up the dolly wheels so that they're not on the ground while we drive around empty.
And then we'll just turn the steering off with these ones. So that isolates the dolly steering then.
Raise it down. Crazy how much travel those have. Yeah. I'm surprised you don't have a wet line still. It's all just electric power.
Some people do run them off a wet line, but I don't think they're quick enough if they do it.
They're not as quick?
I think that's part of the problem is the amount of oil it does take to do them. A wet line just, from what my friend said who's got them, said it's slow as anything, but it might be their trailers that are doing it, but some wet line kits I don't think are quick enough. Or
the problem would be you'd have to leave the PTO engaged while you're going down the road, huh?
So Steve's truck's got a permanent PTO on it.
Oh, okay. So now Kim unhooks the dolly from the trailer. It's basically like any regular lowboy, and then you have all your connections back here for air and hydraulic. We got the trailer all unhooked, ready to pull it forward. So Kim can steer these on a remote control from the cab. And then it's pretty typical lowboy setup. I got the old tire package. How far you want them out there? No, I didn't put it where you already wanted it.
with it. I've got to move it and then move it back.
Right.
Just because everyone puts it in there and I have to just move it slightly.
Do you unload or they unload?
Oh, they unload.
Okay.
We do take them off and on sometimes, but it depends sort of where you are.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like us doing it in their own yard.
That seems like the crane yards at home, they never let us do it.
Obviously, like, if it's in our yard or whatever on site, I load them on site on my own.
Yeah.
We were actually in their yard and they've got trained people. So.
I want us peasants on there.
Yeah, no, not us peasants, yeah.
Got her fired up to unload now. Those tires work really well. Get him out of the way and get Kim hooked back up. The steerable dolly is pretty cool. Nailed it. And now we hook back up. So do you ever change out the shim blocks depending on like your weight?
Yeah, so I changed.
Are those little shims basically?
So I put these in. So I've got a selection of these that I had made or cut.
Okay.
And then depending on what the weight is, I put different ones in there. So I've got. Normally I only use one extra one, but sometimes I put 2 extra ones in there, or a thin one as well. You wouldn't need more than a 3 in there max. Is the most I've ever put in.
Look at the steel on this trailer. It is stout. What do you say, 34 tons the trailer weighs?
32.
32.
Just the trailer there.
Was that with the dolly or without the dolly?
Yeah. So
Okay.
without, so it's like 20, I think it's about 26 tons, something like that without the dolly. I think it's 26 tons, something.
Oh, right now Kim's working on locking the dolly up in the air since we're running empty.
So we use 2 chains on either wheel, as I talked about in my video, and then there's 2 taps on each pendle, so there's 4 taps in total to do it. And then we can now lift it up. Now it's isolated.
So these valves are shutting off the hydraulic oil to the cylinders on those pendles, and then that chain is basically holding it in the air. And then lifting the back of the trailer back up separately. That's a tall 5th wheel. Brake cans look a little different than ours too. So this isn't all the way up right now. You can see how much travel are in these pendles. Quite a bit of travel. And it's all just on a 24-volt electric pump too. I'm impressed how fast it is, not being a wet line. I saw there's like this eye here too. So the truck must know if you blow a hose or something, it goes all the way down. I'll have to ask him about that. Just a couple hydraulic lines in here though. how little room you need to turn this around. And we're off. Tell us about your transmission, Kim.
So it crunches in every gear. It's like an optional extra, but it's hang on, I've got to pay attention.
So you have a splitter still though, like a half a gear?
On the crawler, yeah, you've still got a splitter on half a gear.
I mean, like normally, like you know how like on the 13 speed you have that splitter on your thumb.
Yeah.
Like do you have that? You still have a regular splitter there?
Yeah, so that's the splitter there.
Okay, so you still have like the half gear.
Yeah, that's the half gear,
Okay.
and then that's the range change on the bottom
so
down
that's
there.
not too much different, really.
No, it's just different location.
Okay.
But what is different is the gear change. Like, I don't know if you can see that. The gear change there is, or the pattern there is completely different, which takes a fair bit of getting used to. So yeah, it's a bit of. It's a bit like when driving your one when I was in America. I was so difficult to try and get used to it because it's like the complete opposite way around and the wrong hand for me as well.
Just shifting with your left hand looks wild.
Yeah. It's well, I mean, I'm used to it because that's what we do all the time. But
so this is a synchronized 12-speed. You'd call
synchronized. It's apart from third gear, as we heard a minute ago. that one's left the chat. But yeah, synchronized 12-speed and then 2 crawler gears basically. So yeah, the transmission is 3/3, and then you've got high and low range, so it gives you 6 speed, and then technically you've got then the split as well, so then it doubles each gear. So then you've got 12 speed of standard sort of driving gears, but then you've got 2 crawler gears as well, so you could add them to it and say that you've got 14 forward speeds.
Crazy you can make these turns.
It is good for that.
Those are turns that'd be hard to make with a pickup and a gooseneck.
Yeah. This one's even tighter than that one, I think. I need the whole road to get around this one. And they never stop here either. So now we'll go on the wrong side of the road. And just give it a real sort of flick round.
You have all the room.
And we've got all of the clearance.
No clearance. So what are you, 700 some horsepower, Kim?
I reckon about that. It was originally 580, but it's not 580 anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't quite know exactly what it is now, but I've been doing similar loads with people with 730s and outpulling them, 730 horsepower Scania, and I outpulled them doing the same size load. So nice. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's like it's pretty powerful. But it still does slow down for hills because these trailers are very heavy. And I think as well, something that people don't understand is that all these wheels on the floor is extra drag. So when you've got all these wheels, all these tyres, and every single one of them has got its own individual bearing as well. Even though they're not like a lot of drag, it still adds enough drag where it becomes a bit of a, like it's noticeable when you're driving, I guess.
Can you chain up any of the rear axles?
Yeah, I can actually. Yeah, I can. But I don't normally do it.
Yeah. Talking to you yesterday when you mentioned that you can't haul under 44 tons on this truck and trailer because you're in the special class of license, basically.
That's right, yeah. So our trucks are dual plated, and so if you're just a standard vehicle here, it'll run under what's called construction use regulations, but then you'll get some like mine where they're dual plated, but mine, even though mine is dual plated, to be dual plated in the UK we have something called an MOT. Now I don't actually know what it means, but I'm sure Sam's going to put it on the screen what it means. But it's basically like a test every year to check that the vehicle is roadworthy. Well, under special types, you're not required to have an MOT. So my truck doesn't run under construction and use regulations. We just use it under special types regulations. So anything sort of abnormal load, heavy haulage sort of wise. and basically then that limits us from, I say limits us, it limits us to only doing 44 ton work up to 150. So we're talking like 88,000 pounds roughly, up to 320, I think it was, or 300. I think it's 320,000 pounds I can do up to, but I can't do anything lower than that. Basically, if someone wanted me to move a 20-ton excavator, I couldn't legally move it because you can move it under construction and use.
So what that means in short is that normal trailers over here are just step decks, or they call them step frames with ramps on the back. So our class of lowboy in the United States that you always think of, and this is what kind of the light bulb to me is, like a 50-ton or a 60-ton trailer even, that is never going to get used here. That's not what Kim's trailer is. It is, you know, a 100-ton trailer, what we would call it. And anything that we would put on like a 50-ton lowboy, they're going to haul on a step deck because they could be way taller. And really, what is your height limit? And if you notice, all the bridges here are super tall. Even the truck is super tall. So Kim's cab height is 13'5" as it is. And then you can be how high?
So there's no actual height limit in the UK. You could be 20 feet high, which is a bit of a misconception in the UK, really. But so there's no height limit. But what you could end up being is what happens is bridges above 16'6" are not marked. So if there's no markings on the bridge, it's 16'6" or more, which is 5.05 meters, I think. So if there's no markings, it's higher than that. But if it's marked, if it's lower than that, it will be marked then.
So if we're hauling like a 450 excavator like Matt's, we're putting that on a lowboy or a drop side lowboy, fighting for every inch to get that boom of that excavator below 13'6" in the States, where they don't have that problem. They
put it on a step frame.
So they just throw it on a step frame. So what we think we're cool with a lowboy, they would never use a lowboy for over here. So Kim's trailer is super specialized. And what I was trying to work out last night was a 13 axle setup that we would have in the United States. And I'm not super familiar with heavy haul in the US to the level Kim's on here either. So I'm trying to do a little learning on that. Is a 13 axle setup that we would have in the States is really not able to haul as much as Kim's truck and trailer here, with much less axles on about, I don't know, a third of the length. It's way shorter. So that's the difference. That's kind of the class she's in with this heavy haul stuff. It's just so different. You think it's a lowboy, but it's not. It's way more than that. It's kind of what I've put together.
I think the other thing to add to that as well is that like our roads are a lot smaller, and you've probably realised this now, spending a couple of days in the UK and in London with me, that our roads are a lot smaller. So the reason we have such specialised equipment is because the roads are literally tiny. When we're going through London, we are only just squeezing around things that like cars and trailers would sort of struggle with sometimes. So it as I said earlier on, it's not designed for us. It's not designed for trucks, let alone something. I'm a lot bigger than a standard truck here, but it's still not even designed for the standard truck. So we need all this equipment to enable us to get round.
So as awesome as this trailer is, I think that the problems why you don't see these in the United States are the bridge laws we have and the weight distribution. We have to have a lot of length to make all that work out, and that varies state to state. You know, they do different things out west than we can do in Pennsylvania, for example, and different states have different weight limits on axles. The UK has a super high limit on their axle weight, so that's why Kim can haul so heavy on so few axles. You said it's what, 16.5?
I can put legally 16.5 ton per axle. Per axle either side. Obviously, if it's pendle, there's two pendles, but per two pendles, you can put 16.5 ton.
And that's metric tons, of course, which is even more than you think.
It'd be like, what's that, 33,000 pounds per axle.
So
four wheels.
So we got to think of it like Ohio only lets us have 10 US tons per axle. That's it. So when you take so many axles to haul the same weight, and you have to have all the length, the weight of the trailer becomes super important. So to do the same job, I guess our equipment ends up being just as heavy because it's so spread out. So you got to have all that length in all the frame that you can't give up even more weight on having the steering pendles and all the hydraulic system and everything that comes with it, because we're fighting for every pound back. And I think that's kind of like the main difference is really the regulations of it all. And then you have to be this maneuverable to get where you're trying to go.
Yeah.
So what buttons do what here, Kim?
So you press an assortment of these and some like pure magic happens.
Alright.
Just like wizardry. So this one here lifts the front up and down on the neck basically. And so it would go up and down on these two giant rams there. These, that one there, sorry, does the dolly suspension. So that would just lift the whole dolly up and down on its own. Then you've got these two here, which do the two stingers, or the two stinger rams individually, so you can lift it at different heights.
Oh, you can like level it out.
Yeah, you can level it out. But I did say in like my last video, you can kind of walk the neck around. If you don't get it straight, you can actually drop it and walk the neck over with them as well, which is quite neat. It's a bit of fiddlery. I wasn't going to swear then, but it's a bit of fiddlery. And then these two just lift the back end up and down and lower it down there then. So it's all pretty simple. And then we've got this block here, basically connects the rams from the neck to the rams to the dolly. So it pressurizes the whole lot together then. And then that's how it keeps it quite evenly distributed across there. And it will level these two gauges out when it does it as well, which is really neat.
So that's locked out right now because we're not using the dolly.
Exactly, yeah. And then this one is 3-point suspension. So if this lever up, it's a little bit primitive on this trailer, but if I lift this lever up, what it does is it locks one side of the dolly off, so you can lift the other side up and down. And the reason you would need something like that is if you have an oscillating fifth wheel where it turns like that and it turns like that, it stops it from falling over as you disconnect, because in 3-point that will fall over if you disconnect it. So you have to lock that up, which isolates one side basically.
So basically that front lever is allowing the oil from this side and that side to either be all together where it can lean, or they're locked off so it keeps that level. Exactly. I guess in short.
Yeah, exactly. That was really long and complicated how I just said that. But yeah, basically exactly what Sam said. So Sam knows more about my trailer than I do right now.
I don't know about that. That's the crane we're getting. They're still taking it apart for us. They got to put that A-frame down as they're doing right now, and then they got to slide the tracks in, which are hydraulic. Kim's gonna get spun around here so we can get disconnected and ready to load. So the Scania V8 sounds eerily similar to the E9. It's funny. Definitely has a very similar sound. Here you can get a good look at the steering setup. Look how you can just cut across past this car like nothing. Then you can see how the wheels will oscillate on the ground. So it's just following the truck as those master cylinders drive it up front. See how the oil allows that to oscillate? That's a really cool shot. So all these are tied together so that average height stays the same. We loaded up our Centebogen. Sorry I didn't film, I was helping direct a little bit. And now Kim's getting hooked back up.
It's the height of the ballast to see. So if you go the wrong way round,
That's the override you hear. One shot gang. Kim's got the blocks back in and with one extra shim since we're heavier now. Now she's just picking it up with the electric over hydraulic. So that's the dolly wheels pushing down now. We've got them all unchained. Getting it final lined up. Keep on raising her up. Now we got the 4 1/2-inch chain package on the back. Don't worry guys, our 1-inch 1/2-inch chains, they got to use that over here in metric land too. I need the chest mount package.
I wonder if we should, got a load of jackals, I wonder if we should just do an extra couple of chains to lock the slew on it. Just as
Yeah.
a lot of ballast on the back of it.
Yeah, I would feel better about that.
Do that then. Feel better? I don't have any more double chains now, so we use these singles.
Your little binder storage rack's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's come in handy really.
Yeah.
It wasn't that hard to make either.
Check out the well how you can just stand, because of the pendles and there's no bar axles, you can just kind of stand down in there. It's pretty slick. Kim's pulling out the little placards. What do you call them?
Marker board.
Marker board.
So we
Marker
don't use
board.
flags in the UK. We do have, we've got like fabric ones that some people use sometimes. Certain machines you'd use them. But these have got lights on both sides and then reflective white and red on the other side. So they stay kind of like fixed.
Yeah, that's pretty convenient.
Pretty legit.
So I'm hoping we can show the dolly moving when Kim pulls this around here. She just wants to get up to a little bit more level spot where we can check the height. I don't think it's hardly any higher than her cab. I don't think it's all that high. I'm going like 13.6, 14 feet.
14.1.
With the English diesel gas pumps. Where you buy pounds of liters. Pounds of liters. It's interesting to see that's how much longer this truck and trailer is than the standard ones over here. You look a lot longer parked next to a regular truck.
Yeah, the size of it.
Yeah.
We at this crater over here, Sam.
I thought this was just a Pennsylvania thing.
Oh no, we've got him here. Look at this.
Holy cow.
Look at it.
You're gonna blow a tire.
I saw a truck hit that the other day, about 20. He was fine. He's probably lucky he had his seatbelt on and the window wound up, because I think he'd been outside the cab if he didn't.
The stabilization is going to take out how the air ride cab works so well on this truck.
Yeah, it probably will do, actually.
At least you can miss this one. That's also pretty deep. We made it, Kim.
Yeah. Finally.
Here we go.
Slowly.
Keeping the dust down. So wild seeing the pendles turned over there in the mirror. Alright, we're getting her backed in here now.
Right hand down a little bit. Right hand down a bit more. Really good. Now square up.
What are we doing now, Kim?
Well, I've got to lower it down now, because
Raise it down.
razor down, because we're off tomorrow, so just loosening a couple of the chains so it doesn't stretch into the chains out.
Okay. So right now we're getting ready to unhook the truck from the whole trailer, which is something I haven't seen on the YouTube tutorials.
Oh yeah. Not yet, anyway. It's a first.
Yeah. So she set the back down on the floor, as Kim says.
On the ground.
Her floor is very big. And now setting the front down on the floor.
Same as what you do over there in America.
Taking the weight off the fifth wheel. So you never pull like a trailer air then? You're just disconnecting it basically.
Yeah.
Like that always has air.
What do you say?
Like that always has air in that
Yeah,
hose.
always, yeah.
Okay. So that's why there's only one parking brake lever.
Yeah, because if it was down the, if it put the brakes on when I put the handbrake on, it would do it down the yellow as well, I think, as far as I'm aware. So you lift that up.
And then it pulls forward,
No,
I guess?
I'll have to slide it. It goes across to me. No, it's locked. You won't get that.
Yeah.
When I tell you, Sam, you've got to give that some serious welly.
Some jam.
Oh yeah, some mamba jamba to pull that out. So
Okay.
I'll back up to that and then you can pull that out.
Kim's gonna back up and take the slack out of the fifth wheel. Yep, it moved.
That's it, you got it.
Yeah.
Some people struggle so much with that, but then they don't like put their back into it. You really like
Oh, you gotta just pull the back
You gotta give
out.
it some welly, yeah. Oh, do you want to put it out or do you want me to put it out?
You can. Now we're fully unhooked. Kim's gonna pull her out. Perfect. Well, it's a fun few days. Super trucking. Well, ultimately, my review is this thing is a horse. It pulls super hard, and Kim makes everything happen. I think that it's underestimated how heavy these guys are hauling over here with such small, nimble equipment. And I think a lot of people get a little big-headed in the United States when you need to lower your voice a little bit. That's a hard week done for. It's neat how they put that extra frame rail thingy on top of the double frame. You can see that huge trunnion. It's kind of like a Super Duty Mack Camelback, really. The air ride cab really makes it ride nice. You don't notice it at all. Kim's gonna tilt the cab a little so we can check out the old V8. I'm curious what it entails. Oh, that's the jack.
Yeah, that is the jack.
Huh.
Some of them are electric, but this wasn't spec with it. Volvos are normally spec electric.
Engine that the cab's riding on, and it really does a heck of a job. That cab ride's nice.
Especially for being on steel suspension.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with the ride. I thought your giant springs would be bouncing.
Because we had a fair sort of weight on.
Well, even when we were empty though. I mean, not that that's, you know, light.
The dolly was quite heavy in the front.
You're really giving her, Kim. You're gonna have to eat some more cheeseburgers. So they mount the air compressor off the back. And then it's common rail with the rails right up in the top there. So I asked Kim if we could pop the hood, check out the old Scania V8. And of course she will, because she's nice.
Yeah, of course I'll oblige.
So here we have, what, 16.4 liter?
I think so. You actually found it out before I did.
So one of the things I always thought was that the Mack E9s and the Scanias are kind of related. And it turns out that is kind of true. I need to do a little more research on this. But back in the day, Scania and Mack had somewhat worked together. But you'll notice the difference on these is they have individual cylinder heads, like a KT Cummins, where a Mack has 2 cylinders per head. The air compressor is driven at the back, where a Mack is up in the V, and the turbo on the Mack is kind of off the back. Turbski is off the back, turned the other way. So there's definitely differences in all the layout, but I think kind of in its grandparents' history, there is somewhat of relation.
They're like cousins, brother, sisters, cousins, or something.
Married into the same
Distant
family.
relation.
Right. But I don't know. This thing sure does run good. It sounds a lot like an E9. That's what, to me, I was like, it's got the E9 V8 sound package.
I mean, your red ones, that is, yeah. So
yeah.
Next time I'm over, we need to get that out.
Oh, you'll be ripping in it.
No, if and buts, we need to take her out.
Oh, no doubt. That's on the list.
So, yes, my friend John will tell you about the older ones, the Euro 5s, because this is the Euro 6, which is the later one. The Euro 5 version of this engine is meant to be, or these engines are meant to be much better, apparently. Because these do suffer with some problems.
Your high pressure fuel pump, is it up in the V?
Right there.
Oh, that's it, line up on that accessory.
The silver pipe is right next to it to the right.
Going forward there.
Yeah, that's it.
So it's like they moved that whole accessory drive to the back compared to a Mack, which is much more convenient to get to. Well, because it's a cab over.
Yeah, once you put the cab over, you can get to most of it. The exhaust manifolds are quite difficult to get off on this.
I say these look like they flow way better than the Mack, like log style.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
I haven't seen the Mack, so.
I don't know why. That's like where they ran out of thought and like putting it in the frame rail, and it's like got no flow. It's like super flat along all the heads.
These aren't great either though. When you get down there, I don't think they're that great. It's quite a big job to get those off apparently.
I bet.
I haven't taken one off luckily.
I assume all this would come off then. And
yeah, so this front one comes off here, and then the back one comes off quite easily as well. I'll try and avoid doing it though, because it's a pain.
Well, Kim, thank you so much for taking us trucking.
That's all right, no problem. Anytime, Sam, of course.
Well, I'm going home. Toodles!